You know what, guys? I know it's been like a week or two since the Game Awards. And, I've been holding it all in since the Game Awards, and I've become a little bit deprived and a little bit demented here. But Baldur's Gate 3 won, guys. Let's go! I try not to get very excited for the Game Awards because, everyone has their opinions on it. There are some people, I think, who take it a little bit too seriously, and then there's some who are just so sick of it that they're just like, oh, the Game Awards don't mean anything, blah, 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 where I think I fall into a little bit of the middle. I don't take it 100% seriously if a certain game doesn't win, but I get excited when a game that I think deserves it and a studio that I think deserves it gets that recognition. So, yeah, that's kind of what is going on here. What's up, guys? It's Cannan back with another video, and yes, I know I'm very late, but you gotta remember, I was at a convention when the Game Awards happened, so I couldn't react to it, couldn't get a video up right away, and just going right straight back into work after coming back from the con, so I just did not have the time, and I kind of wondered what kind of video was I going to do. Was I going to do a video where everyone is making fun of Spider-Man 2 fanboys? Because it seems like there's a lot of that going on. No, I didn't want to do a video like that, though. I will speak upon that, but I just thought I would talk a little bit about the Game Awards, some of the results, and also some of the world premieres that were shown. So I don't plan this to be a too long video, but as always, guys, subscribe, hit the notification bell, click that like button, leave a comment on what you thought of the Game Awards, what you thought of the results. So right off, I want to talk about some world premieres that really, really excited me, and right off the top bat, Monster Hunter Wilds. I don't post a lot about it on Twitter or anything like that. Yes, I call it Twitter. I'll never call it X. But I'm a bit of a Monster Hunter fan. I had interest in the series back in the day when it first debuted on the PlayStation 2, but never really got to play it really until, well, Monster Hunter World. And you can ask Jess. I played the heck out of Monster Hunter World. To the point where I was spending so much time grinding for armor sets that I burnt myself out of the game. I have to this day not beaten Monster Hunter World. I've not even reached the Iceborne content. So, when this game was announced, I went to a local secondhand game shop, found a copy of Monster Hunter World Iceborne Master Edition, which includes both Monster Hunter World and Iceborne, for $15 in its original case and everything. So yeah, I plan to finally beat that game before Wilds come out. We don't know a whole lot about it yet. We know it's coming out in 2025. We're going to get more info in summer of 2024. I might be a little too busy with Dawn Trail content at that point, but I will make sure that I keep up to date on it because already excited for it. It's the next main game. It's pretty much World's sequel in a way. A lot of people were not too thrilled with Monster Hunter Rise. I know that I played the game, but I wasn't blown away by it like I was World. I don't know what it is. I just couldn't get into Rise like I did World. But yeah, that was one game that really popped me. The second one that really popped me was Dragon Ball Z Sparkling Zero, which is pretty much Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 4. If you never played these games, they were games that came out on the PlayStation 2 back in the day, and they went kind of from being mediocre like the first one, because the first one for me was the kind of the lame one of the of the trilogy. I was so used to how the Budokai games went that when the first one came out, it didn't have in-game transformations like normal Goku, Super Saiyan Goku, Super Saiyan 2 Goku, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Super Saiyan 4 Goku were all separate characters. All transformations were separate characters. And I was a little bummed by that because I prefer in-game transformations, but I still played it, still enjoyed it. One heck of a roster, and the roster got bigger each game. Now, in Budokai Tenkaichi 2, they did implement in-game transformations, but if you wanted to play as, say, Super Saiyan 2, or Super Saiyan 3 Goku, with him already transformed, you could do that. But by Budokai Tenkaichi 3, there were so many characters in that game. You had Kid Goku from Dragon Ball. You had Kid Goku from GT. You had early Dragon Ball Z Goku. You had mid Dragon Ball Z Goku. You had end of Dragon Ball Z Goku. And all the transformations in between. And it was like that for many characters. The only thing I think that big roster hurt the game with was that a lot of the characters ended up being clones of other characters. I mean, they kind of had the same moveset, they kind of had the same animation, which this was back on the PlayStation 2. They couldn't do a whole lot with that. I'm kind of hoping if this one has the large roster that the Budokai Tenkaichi series is known for, technology and all that has come a long way since the PlayStation 2. Duh. And so I'm hoping that each character will have a unique moveset. The game has apparently been in development for about 5 or 6 years, so that's huge for a Dragon Ball game. You know, people have been joking that that's why Xenoverse 2 has been getting all this extra DLC when the game is quite old. And it surprises me to this day that the game was still getting content. Like, where's Xenoverse 3 already? But, this is exciting. I popped actually seeing it. If what they showed us is actual in-game footage, we're in for a ride. Now, there were some other games that kind of surprised me. Matthew McConaughey, of all people, showing up at the Game Awards and announcing Exodus, which was surprising. The trailer focuses on a squad member, not the main character of the game. But I learned that the game is actually being made by a lot of senior and veteran ex-BioWare employees who worked on the original Mass Effect trilogy. And so, yeah, a lot of people are saying it looks like it's going to be Mass Effect, but on a much bigger scale, which, you know, we have another Mass Effect in production right now. But yeah, it looks intriguing. If it is anything like Mass Effect, of course I'm going to play it. There was a new Hideo Kojima game, and yeah, I have no idea what I saw. Have no idea. It looked like a horror game in a way, but I don't know. I was thrown off by it a little bit, but it's Kojima. The man is so, I guess, brilliant that we just can't comprehend his brilliance. I don't know. It's kind of weird, though, that they would announce a new game when we still don't know that much about Death Stranding 2, because that's in development as well. So, yeah. No updates on Silent Hill 2 remake, no Elden Ring DLC announced. Well, not really expecting an announcement, but I thought maybe we'd at least get a new trailer or something for it. But nothing on that. And of course, people are also talking about the fact that the winners only got 30 seconds to do their speeches, and they were even, there was a timer in the theater that told them once it got to a certain point to please wrap it up. And yeah, have a little bit more respect for your developers who have put all this work into making these games, and then they win and you only give them 30 seconds when you're giving celebrities who really don't have much to do with the gaming industry, and you're giving them all the time in the world. Matthew McConaughey, I guess, is a little bit different because he was there to announce a game, but still, a little less celebrities and a little bit more focus on the actual developers and studios, please. That would be much appreciated. I know Jeff Keighley got on and said that he tried to get them more time, blah, 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 but still, that shouldn't have happened. A lot of people were hoping that the Bill Clinton kid would make an appearance, like maybe things worked out and they would bring him back as a little in joke, but I don't think there was anything about him shown. They did get the guy who is in the Dune remake, and he's now Wonka, as all come out to do Game of the Year, and everybody was saying, "Oh man, he looks like the Bill Clinton kid." That's kind of funny. Also, Flute Guy came back, and he rocked it just like he did last year. So hopefully that's a running thing for as long as he can do it. Just to have him keep coming back. The only disappointment was that sadly Final Fantasy XIV did not win Best Ongoing Game for the third year in a row. That went to Cyberpunk, which I think I've seen a few people question that. Like, how does a single-player game that was broken when it first came out get Best Ongoing Game just because it was being constantly updated, and now the game's over because they've released the last update for it and they're moving on to other things, where a lot of the other games are games that are just continuously ongoing. They have no end in sight. But I love Cyberpunk 2077. I've given that game a lot of time to be what it is now. I bought it on day one, held on to it. I actually just received my Ultimate Edition copy. So I actually got rid of my PS4 copy for the first time just a day ago. So yeah, I held on to my PS4 day one copy until they finally released a PS5 physical copy. And I guess the only other thing I could think to talk about before we get to the Game of the Year stuff. Actually, I think that's all I've really got to talk about. Like I said, I didn't get to watch it as it was happening. I was at a con. I was just keeping up what was being said on Twitter and all that. So let's get to Game of the Year. So the nominees this year were interesting. I think I talked about that in my predictions video. So we had Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and Spider-Man 2. Now, and Resident Evil 4 Remake. So of course, to me, the surprises were Resident Evil 4 Remake and Alan Wake 2. Now, I played some of Alan Wake back when it first came out on the 360, and I know for the longest time people wanted a sequel to that, and we finally got it, but I didn't expect it to get as much acclaim as it has. I've still not played it. Yeah, the guy who loves survival horror games still hasn't played it, but I never finished the first one, and I know they released a remaster, so maybe I should finish the remaster before I play the sequel. But it's good to see games like that getting recognition. Resident Evil 4 Remake being on there was kind of a head scratcher. Not saying the game was bad, it was great. But a remake being on there above games like Final Fantasy 16, that was a head scratcher. And Super Mario Brothers Wonder was a little bit of a head scratcher as well, because, not saying it's a bad game, I've not played it yet. I'm not that great at Mario games, but from what I've seen, it's a great game. It's the fact that the game had not been out very long. I think that's what probably hurt it, because it seems like whenever you have two Nintendo contenders in Game of the Year, it usually goes to Nintendo in a lot of ways. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, of course, was always going to be a contender. I have heard people say that they think it's just a glorified DLC because they reused a lot of things, but that should have been known from the start. Like the very first trailer, it was obvious they were going to reuse the Hyrule they made from Breath of the Wild. And then you had Spider-Man 2, which, don't get me wrong, it's more than likely an amazing game. It's just that I fell out of love with superhero video games a long time ago, though granted, I may play Wolverine. But if I had to pick a favorite Marvel superhero, it might be Spider-Man, or it might be Wolverine, depending on what mood you find me in. But the games, to me, like, I just saw them as updates of Batman Arkham Asylum, because they used like the same kind of combat. And I don't know, like, whenever people post stuff about it, they just post cutscenes. They don't really post gameplay. And what I've seen of the gameplay is just a bunch of button mashing. Like, the story is probably great, but as far as gameplay goes, I think Insomniac played it a little too safe. Because Spider-Man 2 ended up winning nothing. Nothing at all. And of course, we've got Baldur's Gate 3. You all know how I feel about Baldur's Gate 3. I love the game. I think it's an incredible achievement in video games. And it won. And it rightfully deserved to win. And what I think should really be talked about is not just the game, but Larian Studios. Larian Studios was a company that was mostly just known for the Divinity series. And those are not bad games, but they were kind of niche. Like, it wasn't a game people were talking about. And before that, I believe I heard that they made educational games. And many have said that at conventions and all that, before this game even released, Larian would have a booth and there would be nobody there. Nobody was visiting their booth. And plus, this is a small studio. They're pretty much considered an indie studio. They worked for 6 years on this game. And the game comes out and it's pretty much a gaming cultural phenomenon. It's changing the world of games. I know a lot of developers got scared when this game came out and said, please don't expect all games to be this way. I'm sorry, this game should be the norm. This should be the quality that we get. I just saw a thing on Twitter saying that Sony's talking about making games $85 to $100 at retail by 2027. I'm like, if they're not like Baldur's Gate 3, then sorry, I'll just play older games, because you're not getting that kind of money out of me for subpar games that have to be fixed months afterward with patches. Like, I'm sorry. And of course, yes, Baldur's Gate has had to be patched multiple times, but the game, even on release date, was a put together complete game. And like, I don't think there's ever going to be a way in today's technology with how games are made that a game is going to be able to come out and be bug free. Like, no matter how long you take, Rockstar could spend 10 years on Grand Theft Auto 6 and probably still have bugs on release. But I think the true winner here, besides us gamers, is Larian Studios. Just because, guys, it's a Cinderella story. It really is. It is a almost rags to riches kind of story that does not happen all the time in video games. And like, when they won and you saw the emotion, one of the guys on the team who was sitting next to Neil, and I'm guessing his wife, he was crying that they won. He was literally in tears. And, you know, it's sad that a very important member of their team, I think he said that it was the lead animator, passed away a month ago. He didn't even get to see the true fruits of all that work come. And they cut to Neil and, you know, the voice of Asterion, who won earlier that night for his voice performance. And he was crying. Like, guys, this, like, it's not even just the studio stuff. This entire team, from the voice talent to everyone else, you get the sense that they love each other, that they see each other as family. And you get teams who bond and all that when they're making these products because they last for years. But I don't know. Like, I cannot remember her name, but the voice actress for Shadowheart, she met her wife during the creation of this game. Her wife was part of the team. So, like, there's so much love that went into this. And Larian Studios, they knew if this game was a flop, they'd be done. Like, they did this game on apparently a low budget with a small team, 6 years. And guys, I'm sorry, no matter how you feel about Spider-Man 2 losing, no matter how you feel like it was rigged, though, I don't see how a studio like Larian Studios could fix a Game Awards over bigger companies like Sony and Nintendo. Like, I'm sorry, that's just not going to happen. Sony and Nintendo, as far as money-wise go, would win every time. So no, Larian Studios didn't buy this award. There ain't no way. There ain't no way they would have been able to outbid Sony or Nintendo. And like I was saying, no matter how much you want to be angry that Spider-Man 2 lost or Tears of the Kingdom lost, the love and passion that this team has shown and the humbleness they've shown, that's the real winners, besides us gamers who got this great game. And the fact that you can take one story quest and play it like 20, 30 different ways. Guys, that's not easy to do with games. Like, I think really they would have made as many endings possible as they could if it was possible. And that's why I said, when talking about best RPG, this game was the only one on the list that really counted as an RPG to me, because it is the closest we will ever get, probably, to a tabletop RPG in video game form. This is the closest we can get right now. And Baldur's Gate 4, I hope it's even grander. I hope that it is almost unbeatable. I can't say Baldur's Gate 3 is the game of the decade, because we still have Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out in 2025, and we'll see how it does. But guys, this is at least not only game of the year, but the game of the generation right now. Because this is how games should be made. This is how, like, a game with this much in it, the amount of dialogue, the amount of all you can do, it's almost impossible. This game shouldn't exist in a lot of ways, but it does, and it's here. And whether you don't like turn-based combat, whether you don't like the dice system, everyone should at least attempt to play this game, because it is almost to as close as perfection that video games can reach in this day and age. And guys, this is when we constantly crack on companies like EA, Ubisoft, Bethesda, and all the others who put out half-broken games all the time, and yet people still praise them. There was one streamer who got mad that Baldur's Gate 3 won and said that Spider-Man 2 is the people's choice for Game of the Year, when literally earlier that night they had the Player's Choice Award, which was 100% voted by the fans, and Baldur's Gate 3 won, and Spider-Man 2 was in that category. I think for once, gaming journalists, for the most part, gaming journalists, gaming media, and gamers themselves were finally of one mind. And that's Baldur's Gate 3 is that game. Every award show it's been to so far, it's either swept or at least won the big prize. And guys, I'm going to tell you right now, enjoy it, because I don't know if we'll ever see a game like this again. Like I said, Baldur's Gate 4, whoever makes it, if it's still Larian, that's great. Whenever they'll come out, we still don't know 100% if we'll get like an expansion to this. They're still adding to this game. They've added an epilogue now. They've added more to the romances. They've added so much since release, and it's only made the game better. They announced it for Xbox shortly after it won Game of the Year, so now even more people are playing it, and I think, as of right now, it's the top-selling game on Xbox. Guys, this is, in a way, the perfect RPG, the perfect game. It deserved Game of the Year. Larian deserved Game of the Year. If that's one thing I can say is have respect enough for the people who worked on this game for 6 years, who probably spent a lot of all-nighters, who probably went a long time without seeing their families. because they wanted this game to be a success. There's a video of others at the development studio at Larian reacting to the game winning, and I've never seen a bigger celebration. They were throwing champagne bottles all over the place. I thought I would never be happier than seeing like Elden Ring win Game of the Year last year. This tops it. Elden Ring was a great game, but Baldur's Gate 3 I think was an even better game. And I'm just so happy that I lived in the time that this game came out, because this is a game that we're going to talk about for generations to come. Long after all of us are gone, Baldur's Gate 3 will be on that all-time great games list. And no one can take that away from Larian. Larian did an amazing job. They earned their place in the immortality of gaming history. And they should all be proud of that, and they should be applauded for that. That's all I've got for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, click that like button, leave a comment. As always, guys, this is Cannan. Jess and I love you all very, very much. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.